On October 24, 1929, the internal mechanics of the American economy reached a breaking point. While often described as a sudden accident, the market's collapse was the predictable conclusion of a decade built on systemic leverage. The stage for this collapse was set in the factories. Assembly lines, like this Ford Model T plant, mastered the art of mass production. Output surged, flooding the country with new automobiles and appliances at a rate that outpaced traditional demand. However, industrial efficiency outstripped the wealth of the people doing the work. Between 1920 and 1929, worker wages remained largely stagnant, even as productivity climbed, meaning the American public could no longer afford the very goods they were manufacturing. To bridge this gap, the financial system introduced a new standard for the middle class: widespread consumer credit. Families were encouraged to take home luxuries using installment plans, paying a fraction up front and borrowing the rest from the future. This reliance on credit created a psychological shift. For the first time, an entire generation learned to project the image of wealth through debt, possessing modern capital without actually owning it. By the mid-1920s, this appetite for credit moved from household appliances to the stock market. Small-scale savers began treating shares in American industry as just another consumer good to be purchased on time. This was buying on margin. An investor put down 10% in cash, borrowing 90% from a broker. This leverage acted as an accelerant. The market surged 600%. By 1929, 40% of all consumer debt was tied to stock speculation. But as stock prices climbed, the underlying economic data turned negative. European trade was stalling, and the domestic agricultural market was already in a deep depression. The soaring values on Wall Street were increasingly backed by nothing but more debt. The American economy had transformed into a precarious tower of leverage. It was a giant game of confidence, requiring the public to maintain a perfect belief in rising prices to prevent the entire structure from folding. The first signs of a crack appeared in late 1929, when the Federal Reserve raised interest rates, making it more expensive to borrow. The smart money began a quiet, orderly exit from the market. That orderly exit became a panic on October 24th, Black Thursday. Investors dumped 13 million shares so quickly that the physical reporting systems failed. As this tangled ticker tape shows, the machines were overwhelmed by the volume, leaving traders unable to see how far the floor had actually dropped. Falling prices triggered the margin call. Brokers legally demanded immediate repayment of those 90% loans. To find the cash, investors were forced to sell everything they owned into a market where no one was buying, accelerating the collapse. The final blow fell on October 29th, Black Tuesday. Panic led to the liquidation of over 16 million shares. In a matter of hours, the market dropped 12% as thousands of people gathered outside the exchange to watch their life savings vanish. The billions of dollars lost that week did not merely change hands. Because that wealth was almost entirely composed of debt and leverage, it simply ceased to exist. While stockbrokers felt the immediate shock, the fallout quickly reached millions of ordinary citizens who had never invested a single dollar on Wall Street. During the boom years, unregulated banks had acted as silent accomplices. They took the safe savings deposits of their customers, people looking for a secure place for their cash, and secretly used those funds to speculate in the stock market themselves. When the market crashed, banks lost their depositors' money. Thousands of institutions were left completely insolvent, unable to honor requests from people who trusted them. This betrayal led to the bank runs. In New York, a rumor about the Bank of the United States caused 25,000 terrified citizens to demand their cash all at once, forcing the bank's collapse and the loss of $500 million in deposits. This banking fraud is what turned a stock market failure into a societal wipeout. By gambling with the public's core savings, the banks destroyed the foundational trust in money itself, pushing the crisis from Wall Street to Main Street. The contagion was immediate. 1/3 of all American banks permanently failed, and the nation's total money supply shrank by a staggering 31% as citizens hoarded what little cash remained. President Herbert Hoover responded with strict austerity and the protectionist Smoot-Hawley tariffs. By raising taxes on imports, he triggered an international trade war that caused global commerce to plummet by 66%, sealing off any hope of a quick recovery. The human cost was visible on every street corner. Industrial production was cut in half, and unemployment skyrocketed to 25%. Millions of former factory workers and farmers were reduced to waiting in lines like this one for free soup and donuts. Families evicted from their homes gathered in makeshift shantytowns made of scrap wood and cardboard. These sprawling camps were sarcastically named Hoovervilles, serving as a grim testament to the administration's failure to act. The ultimate victims of the 1920s debt cycle were these millions of citizens. They lost their homes, their savings, and their dignity to a financial system that had gambled their futures without their consent. In 1933, Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected on a promise of radical intervention. He arrived to overhaul the system, introducing a new philosophy of government designed to dismantle the unregulated shadow banking culture of the previous decade. Following the Keynesian theory that the state must support demand during a crisis, FDR launched the New Deal. Projects like the Tennessee Valley Authority used federal money to hire hundreds of thousands of workers, bypassing the frozen private sector to put cash directly back into the pockets of the working class. To prevent another systemic wipeout, the administration implemented a series of permanent firewalls. They abandoned the gold standard, created the SEC to monitor Wall Street for fraud, and established the FDIC to ensure that a bank's failure would never again destroy a depositor's life savings. These regulations legally forced the separation of speculative gambling from everyday banking. For the first time, commercial banks were banned from using consumer savings to play the stock market. While the recovery took years, the legacy of 1929 remains a stark warning. It is the definitive proof that a financial system prioritized for greed over stability will eventually self-destruct, and that aggressive oversight is the only effective defense against the next crisis.